Saturday superstars. It's Peps, it's J-Dog. It's the round 19 review of AFL football brought to you lace out style. I'm your host, Christopher Pepper, the 377-game superstar of the East Keilor Football Club. And I got the great man joining me again tonight. He's the co-host with the most. He's built like a brick shithouse, but has a heart of gold. You know him as the J-Dog. I know him as the great man, Jamie Wallis. My friend, it was an eventful weekend. It was a big weekend. Games galore, results left, right, and centre. There were draws. It was after the siren. There was comebacks. There was blowouts. You name it. It happened this weekend. Let's get into it, but more importantly, how are you going?
Peps, I am going very well. What an amazing round of football. And I think you said it best. We're not even going to discuss all the news stuff because let's just talk about the rounds of football. Let's talk about the games. Let's get into it.
That's the news. I think you can look at the 9 games on the weekend and there was something to take out of every single one of them.
Yep.
Full stop. So we're going to get literally straight into it. But if you haven't joined us, I don't know where you've been for the first 18 rounds, but this is going to be the best round 19 review that you're going to hear. Don't worry about all the hoity-toity podcasts sitting 1, 2, 3. Down in the lower 200s where we sit, this is where the magic happens, everybody. We're going to get into the ladder. We're going to go around the grounds football style. We're going to have a look at the rising star who finally came of age and tore the Demons a new one. We're also going to have a look at some trade news, couple of retirements. Listener question went off like a bride's nightie. It was out of control. The results to come out of that 1 week at a time. It's going to be bumper. It's going to be chocker blocker. It's going to be like my mate Stavros's mum and dad's Costco shopping cart. That's how packed it is going to be for Greek Easter. Let's get into it, Jamie. Look, it's as simple as this. You know where we need to start. We have to have a look at the ladder. And I think we said a few weeks ago that this was locked in. Don't worry about it. It's all going to happen. Don't worry. Top 4's locked in. Bottom. Can we get this any right? Can we get it any more wrong?
Yeah, it has had a bit of a change, hasn't it, Peps? Your team has gone on the slide. Collingwood have gone on the fly. St Kilda have dropped out. Richmond in and out. Western Bulldogs. It's all going on.
Oh, it's out of control. So we know Geelong, they are the team to beat. Let's be honest. Let's not beating around the bush anymore. They are the team to beat. 56 points, 135.1%. They're sitting pretty at the top. They've got a pretty weak run home, so they will dominate and should get a home final at the MCG. Melbourne is second, but only by percentage to Brisbane and Collingwood. That is your top 4 right there, and that will not be the top 4 by the end of the season.
Shaky Melbourne.
Very shaky, and it's interesting. The D's play Brisbane in 3rd, Collingwood in 4th, Fremantle this week in 5th, and they've also got Carlton in 7th. 4 games, 4 teams in the top 8. So it's going to shape it left, right, and centre. You've then got Sydney, who have been bolters this year, 48 points, the same as the Blues. The Western Bulldogs had a
skip over Fremantle. Not going to talk about their season.
They're up and down a bit, but they were good on the weekend.
Yeah, they were good on the weekend.
Sort of. They drew.
Hey, they are still in the hunt.
They are. It is another 8-point game. They play Melbourne Friday night.
Yeah.
That's the game of the week right there. That's your top 4. Worked out pretty much. Melbourne win, they'll stay there. And if they lose, they're out. Melbourne's still mathematically a chance to not even make finals.
Peps, we've played this game before.
We have played this game before. But if they lose their next 4 games,
they're out.
They potentially could be out.
In Port.
Yep. Western Bulldogs in, St Kilda out by percentage. They're a full game of percentage out, so it's going to make it tough for them. They just have to keep winning, and they're going to have to win by big margin as well. Richmond a 10th. That's a real shame, isn't it? Port Adelaide, my goodness, Jamie, were the texts flying back and forth between us and on that game. I want your thoughts on it as well. I think the sun has set on Gold Coast season, which is a travesty. Could you imagine if they had Ben King through that entire season, how much better they probably would have been? They would have, a couple of those games that they, coughed up, probably would have got across the line.
Just roll on. What else do you want to talk about? Like, Gary Ablett wasn't there. Oh,
no,
they missed the finals. King wasn't there. They missed the finals.
J-Dog. We've never got this deep talking about Gold Coast potentially making finals, and they still potentially can.
Over 10 years.
Mathematically, they can. Hawthorn on 28. Essendon screwed the pooch on the weekend big time, and there was a number of factors that went into that. GWS, they're gone. The Crows, they're gone. Wet Toast and North Melbourne are literally battling it out for who's going to get the number 1 and number 2 draft pick.
Yeah.
It's all happening at the top of the ladder. Don't worry about your drive to survive in the middle of the pack, my friend. It's all happening at the top too. So I'll quickly throw these ones out at you, J-Dog. Top 4, Geelong.
Yes. Tick.
Melbourne?
Yeah, I still think they will.
Okay. Brisbane?
Yep.
Collingwood?
Based on form, incredible. Yeah, I think the top 4 is still locked in. I think Melbourne will probably finish 4th, and I do think Brisbane will get a home final.
So be it. I think it's going to be out of... Oh, geez. Any of those 7 can make it. Western Bulldogs can't. But any of those 7 can. Because, like I said, they all play each other. Melbourne play 4 of those teams.
So you're saying
Carlton's got a couple of them as well too. I think the Blues have got a couple of them as well too. So it is going to be 8-point games literally for the end of this season. And isn't that what the AFL have wanted for so many years? They just want a season where everybody has a chance to play finals. And that's really what it's all about. It's as simple as that. On top of that, we're just going to be talking about really quickly, the round 23 fixture has come out as well. So they've announced the games. Some interesting ones here. Melbourne and Brisbane to launch it off at the Gabba, 7:50 p.m. Saturday's an interesting one because there's not really many games that strike me as exciting. The one that looks probably that might shape finals in any way might be the GWS Fremantle. That's still going to be a tough game for Freo to win. Last game of the season. There's always a bit of a hiccup towards the back end.
Yes.
I think Sunday's the day. 3:20 Sunday, Carlton versus Collingwood. Ooh la la, that is going to be Ducks Nuts Central. Strap yourselves in. That is going to be, I'm not playing golf that day. I'm just going to sit down. They potentially could play each other 2 weeks in a row.
What is there? I think there's quite a few good games in there. I think Richmond and Essendon look great.
But none of these games are going to be deciding.
Oh, we don't, Peps.
I don't think so.
If Richmond are fighting for a spot, could be big.
Richmond are done. And remember, I did say Richmond will not play finals, and I went back on it, but I'm going back to it. Richmond will not play finals, and you all laughed at me.
I don't think you get lots of returns at the end, Peps.
I'm freaking returning on that one.
You make one call and you stick with your call.
Hey, if Trumpy can do U-turns and Scotty Morrison can say the government's no good, they're some of the biggest U-turns I've ever seen. I'll U-turn on that one because I deserve it.
All right.
I reckon there's a couple of games there that are really going to shape the finals. But you know what? Let's worry about that in 3 weeks' time because it's this week that we're going to be talking about in a couple of days' time, which is going to be tipped out. So join us for tipped out. It's going to be me going through the tips. J-Dog will send his tips through. If everything's okay, he'll join us. But you know that it's our tips to you every single week because that's how you want it. J-Dog, let's get into some spin and some magnets really quickly as well too because I've got a few I have to rip through when it comes to this because I really want to spend some time on these games. All right, let's go through with a bit of
3 votes.
We go some 3 votes first and foremost, some good stuff. All right, the draw. I love it. Keep it. Do not make it any different. I don't want golden point. I don't want fantasy point. I don't want rock, paper, scissors. I don't want AFLX. I don't want a shootout from 30. Just leave the draw. The draw potentially could be setting up who plays top 4 and who makes the 8. That is how critical it is. I think we have to keep our game unique because, crikey, there isn't much that we have really unique about our game going forward because it just keeps changing with the wind.
So you want floating fixtures?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
I want a floating fixture. No, I want to know who I'm playing, where I'm playing every week so I can go away with my daughter.
So what?
We can go and watch the D's interstate.
What parts of the draw do you want to keep?
I want 17 games.
Okay.
I've told you my theory. This is what you should do.
I know.
17 games, and then over the next over the 3 years, you play
It's too complicated. It's a Tuesday night, It's 8:30. It's too complicated to do your maths over a 3-year plan. You sound like a government.
Mine works out. You play a block of 5 teams 1 year, a block of 5 teams the next, and then a block of.
Nah, so you confuse yourself now.
6 and 5, 6, 6 and 5.
You sound like You sound like David Teague and Bolton and Malthouse with their 3-year plans.
Doesn't matter the green shoots. Rightio. No bags this week. There were no bags, but you know what? There was a couple of good handfuls. Jack Gun-ston, and that was a performance. I said when we did tipped out last week that Gun-ston could be the difference between 3 or 4 goal better team, and he came out and kicked 5. Just sensational. Ugle-Hagen, the coming-of-age game.
Oh, don't even start.
I'm not. And Dan Butler, he had a day out as well too, but that was only against West Coast. But, hey, not many of us have kicked 5. You ever kicked 5 in a game, Jamie?
No, I've never kicked 5 or scored 5 or anything in a game, no.
I've kicked 5 in a half.
Have you?
Yes, I did.
Off the halfback, or where were you playing?
No, I'll just slide in the forward pocket,
So just cheapies over the back?
Yeah, cheapies. Oh, cheapies. I got 2 for 1s. So Vinny's basket, some of the goals I got. Crikey.
Perfect.
I was like, coupons. They're on the back of a coupon.
You always give the handball off to get someone into the game.
Exactly right. I did give away none. All right, hangers. And some hangers, J-Dog.
There was some big ones.
Adam Sard, Toby Green, Mitch Georgiades. Which one of them all did you like the most?
Oh, probably between Georgiades and Toby Greens.
Yeah, I like Toby's. I like Toby because I like Toby, but I thought, you know what, if you had to say, it's a shame that those 3 had to go up against themselves this week. Just some crackers. Snags. Can I talk about some snags, J-Dog?
Which one in particular do you want to talk about, Peps?
Oh, I want to talk about Joshy Dacos's handball across to myself along the boundary line, take a bounce, swiggy, jiggy, Dacos style.
Yep.
And then you got to go with JB Boy Elliott after the siren.
Flush.
Couldn't ask much more than that. It was just Jamie, that's the best kick I've seen. I reckon that's the best kick. Who was the Carlton bloke that slotted it after the siren last year? Remember against your mob, I think it was?
No, that was Robbie Gray.
Was Robbie Gray the one who kicked it?
Kicked it after the siren.
There was a Carlton one that they kicked it.
Yeah. Who was that?
Might have been a couple of years ago.
I don't know, but...
What a long day. I can't remember.
Elliott's kick never looked like missing, did it?
No, it didn't. And it just sucked for Essendon too because they had that game. Had it in the palm of their hands.
Nunes, there we go. Thank you, Charlie Keegan.
Who was it?
Nunes.
Noonsy. See, Charlie Keegan. Love a bit of Keegan action. Love it.
That was the straightest kick I think I've ever seen.
It was straight. You know what it reminded me of? Do you remember when Fev, this is going back probably, you might have been about 4 or 5 at the time. That's how far back we're talking, J-Dog. He kicked one against Adelaide clutch.
Yeah.
At Adelaide. And it reminded me of that. Like, it was on the boundary early in his career too. And it was from the boundary and it was just dead-eye dick. Did not look like it was going to move.
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting though? You have a look at that kick and we're going, oh, how good was it? Drop pump from the boundary, straight as a die.
Mm-hmm.
Lockett, Dunstall, Ablett, all the great forwards were doing it day in, day out. Like that would have been just bread and butter for them. That just shows how around the corners and sometimes it was. Ugh.
Yeah.
That's just how much the game has changed. One other one, which you may not know about, it was 591 days after being drafted by Gold Coast at pick 7 in the 2020 NAB AFL draft.
Mm-hmm. Elijah
Hollins finally got to make his AFL debut. That's a story that we just have to get around and go, you know, good on you, young fella. You're never out of it. You're never out of it.
Yeah. Wow. So,
do you have anything that you just wanted to go, how good was that?
Look, the comeback from Essendon was pretty incredible.
We're going to get into that.
I turned the game off at the first quarter for a while, and I'm like, this is going to be a hunch. Like this is going to be an Essendon type of game here.
This is round 1.
And then I turned it back on, and I was like, they're 25 points up. Like, what's happening here? What has happened? And then, 15 minutes later, it was all over.
It was football at its finest.
But there was other ones like Port coming back and kicking 8 goals straight against the number one seed, we think is the number one seed of the AFL at the moment. Like I didn't see Port coming back and doing that.
No.
I didn't see Melbourne losing.
I did.
Did you? There's games that I just did not see occurring. Like we had an awesome response from Adelaide in their game, even though they lost. An amazing response. North, I thought, oh, geez, it's going to be a real blowout here. North had an amazing second and third quarter. Like there were some good positive things. St Kilda, I didn't see St Kilda winning this week over there.
No.
They got up.
And that's actually one of the things I wanted to bring up when we get into the round the grounds from the bad side of things. So, Barras, are you there, mate?
Haley off, Ellingworth on. Bloody winkers.
Just make sure you don't hit the sound pad twice, Jamie. Otherwise, you only get up. Righty. Now, one of the things I wanted to bring up, Paddy Dangerfield. He gives me the shits. I don't know if you hear him on. Do you hear him on radio down there? Obviously, being from Geelong and living down.
No, I sort of anything down here, I switch off.
He just complains. Like it's serious. All he does is complain about rules. Complains about players shouldn't be getting this. Now he wants the countdown clock at games so that they don't need signs. No, the clock counts up. It's always counted up.
Is this in response to
the last minute or two, and then we'll just chip it around because they can see.
But they know already. The signs tell them what they've got to do anyway.
It doesn't matter. If you've got the clock there, teams are going to start to panic. No, I'm sorry. Just it counts up. The best thing ever. I don't know if you ever remember the Channel 10 coverage. You were probably about 8 at the time.
No, I do. I know you're going to say.
And they used to have the 5-minute warning. How good was the 5-minute warning? It'd be counting down.
Hated it.
Loved it. You would hate
Panic attack.
Yes. Unless your team was up by 10 goals. Melbourne will choke. Rightio. North and West Coast. We have to talk about these two. Look, I know these are low-hanging fruit, these two teams. They've had a combined 4 wins for the season. But you teased me enough the week before that I went and picked you this week, and you just didn't deliver. Now, that's what disappoints me. I thought West Coast, you're getting a better contingent back. You played better footy. I thought you were a massive show against St Kilda.
Yeah.
And North, in Tassie, where you love it. You love it down there, Tassie. And you just served up tripe against the Hawks. Even though you did come back a bit, you just didn't look like they were winning it. It was just it was disappointed that I thought, it could have been something a little bit different and it wasn't. So for those two teams, I'm just giving you a little bit of a, come on, boys. The head high ruling by the AFL. I know we talked about it last week. We're talking about the ducking and the raising the arms, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate it. And I get it. And I think it's a better rule. But you did get the Ginnivan one wrong. Like Dad said, you know what it reminded me? It reminded me of Cowboy Stan Hansen, early 80s in the NWA. It was a clothesline from hell. It would have taken anybody's head off. James Brayshaw Layfield would have taken Eddie Guerrero's head off in Judgment Day 2001 with the lariat. It was way too high. You've got to call it for what it is. And I think the AFL have put themselves into a little bit of a sticky spot with this one.
I thought you were going to just say, remind you of the Cowboys as in like driving one of like the steer into the ground like they're just it literally was. He grabbed Ginnivan by the ears and just buried his head into the sand.
And like a Stetson, he had his Stetson on and his chaps.
Exactly right. Nothing. No call from the umpire. But Peps, and I know they brought the rule in, and I feel a bit hard done by for Ginnivan because Selwood has been doing this his whole career. No rule changes ever been brought in. Ginnivan does it, talks about it on the radio, and the rule changes. Now, I was always in the Selwood ducking camp. I still am, but it is also up to the players. They know he's going to do that. Tackle lower. He's used the loophole in the rule, and it's there. Why can't he use the loophole?
I think what they're trying to do is it's kind of an interesting one where they're trying on one hand, and this is the same thing we talk about with the AFL, is that they have their position, but it doesn't match up with what they want to do. So their position is head-eye contact for the concussion side of things.
Yeah.
But this ruling virtually allows you to give them the Judas effect by Chris Jericho, take off their head, and the umpire goes, "Oh, you ducked." Play on.
Or you
Not exactly
did
protecting
this,
your
you
head,
did
is it?
those ones. You raised your
David
arm.
King said, you know what? Pay it against the player for raising their arm because that was their prior opportunity. I don't mind it, but it's still another technicality.
Which you
The other
hate.
thing that
Which
you
you
also
hate.
gotta remember is that, but here's the thing, J-Dog. You tackle them around the waist, they spin 360, 720. The umpire doesn't even pay it anyway.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
They have been better this year. They have been better.
I reckon they're good for 1 or 2 weeks and then they go back into their old habits again. It's like anything. Now, if you don't continue with it, I saw some 360s. I saw 2 people spinning around in unison on the weekend. I thought it was Torval and Dean at one stage. Like it was a 720 with 2 of them.
Yep. You get a handball out, handball gets out and play on. Yeah.
Oh, and one other thing when we go to the rules, really quickly, why does the umpire wait and ask for the ruckman and look for the ruckman? Why don't they just throw it up and have 2 people go up? Why do you have to nominate?
You got to nominate.
Why do you have to nominate? Why?
I don't know. So they know who's adjudicating or who's not jumping for the ball. I don't know.
You just have 2 people go for it. That should be the rule. 2 people go for the ruck. A third person goes in. It's a free kick.
All right. So let's
make it harder than it is.
Let's go back on Ginnivan. So.
Oh, okay.
So that you can all agree that was a high tackle. Should have been paid. I think the AFL have even come out and said that should have been paid.
Yep.
All right. Cool. All right. What's the next thing you want to talk about?
Melbourne.
Oh, okay. You want to have a whinge about Melbourne?
I'm going to have a whinge. Mate, it's the 4th game this year that they've lost by being 20 points up. Boys, it's 2022. It's not 2021. Okay, pull your fingers out. Now, I'm talking to the players. I'm talking to the coaching group. I'm very concerned about missing top 4 after having a 10-0 start. It's almost think that they can just flick the switch and they're going to go back to what they were last year. But they're not. Teams have adapted. Teams have evolved. Teams are playing differently. We're not playing differently. We're lacking creativity. If you play Melbourne, I can tell you one thing. I know where the ball's going to be kicked. I know who's going to be in the foot. Nothing changes. You sit there. We'll play shots, Jamie. When Melbourne play this Friday night, take a shot for every time Stephen May kicks to the left-hand side of the screen from a kick out. You'll be pissed by the end of the second quarter. It telegraphs it. Teams even walk over to that side. Change it up for God's sake.
Yeah, but Gawn's there. You're going to kick to Gawn. That's what you're kicking to. That's been your go-to for 2 seasons now.
I know, but everybody knows that. Change it up. Change it up here. Change. Melbourne.
I can tell you now. You're going to kick out to the left. Gawn's going to be standing on the edge of the square. He's going to walk in 2 meters towards the boundary, take a pack mark. That's literally like the Melbourne backline play.
Yeah, Charlie Keegan, just torp it up. Exactly right. Torp it up.
No one can kick torps these days, Peps.
Huh?
No one can kick torps these days.
That's it, because it's all the check sides and the bananas. Just go to Billy Thorpe from fullback and launch that thing. It'd be awesome. This is not a bad one. I forgot to mention, I put in the wrong column. Buddy is now number 5 on the all-time goal-kicking list, passing Gary Ablett Sr. on 1,033 goals.
It's probably about 1,000 games more Gary Ablett as well.
I think he's played about 77 games more to get to the same point.
Yeah.
Good on you, buddy. But it's it's interesting that we're not going to have another 1,000 goal kicker. Probably we'll get the 4th. I think Doug Wade's next.
We'll see.
Exactly right. Hey, so there's the spinning magnets time.
No more from Melbourne? No more whinging about Melbourne?
Nah, not yet. Still going to get to the game. You're going to get to the game, big boy. All righty. Hey, J-Dog.
Let's have a quick look. Charlie, Roo Boy's on with us. Hello, Roo Boy.
Roo Boy. Good to see the Roo Boy back. Your team let me down. Your team let me down on the weekend, Roo Boy. But that's all right because we'll have a bit of a chat about them very, very shortly. Okay, J-Dog.
Yes.
It's your turn, boyfriend.
It's time for Around the Grounds with Laceout's number 1 newsbreaker, Jamie Wallis. Over to you, big fella.
All right, my friends. All right. So the first thing quickly to go through. All right, the music stops. So we're just going to go for it. What do you want to do, Peps?
Oh, just go for it, buddy. Just go for it. Just go for it.
The Tigers and Dockers.
Yep.
As you've called it here, the no clocker shocker.
It was the Tigers and Dockers, no clocker shocker. It was a draw in the fact that none of these teams paid any attention to when the clock was going to expire.
I felt for the poor bloke.
Which one? Noah Bolter, who doesn't know
not Bolter,
what 30 seconds is?
Not Noah Bolter, because he did it last week as well. I feel sorry for the sub.
It was a belter of a game, J-Dog. Like, I haven't seen Richmond play with that much pressure for a long, long time. And it was the Tigers of old, and they were strong when they bowled, but they unfortunately only got the 2 points. The meatball killed it with another 30 possessions, Dion Prestia. But even like from a goal perspective, there wasn't a lot of goals kicked. Like Shai Bolton was the highest goal kicker for the Tigers. And Andrew, and even for Fremantle, it was singles all the way around. But I just love the way they attacked the ball. And I honestly wanted Richmond to win. I wanted Richmond to win because I don't want Fremantle to win, obviously. But they out tackled them, just out on the hit outs. Frees were the same. Hit outs was like two different. Goals kicked the same. Behinds kicked one different. There was one more rush behind. That's what curved. Like the conversion rate was exactly the same, 41 and a bit %. So it was just such an even game all the way through. Inside 50s was 51 to 50. Like it was dead set even. And to see the way that game finished,
yeah,
I love the draw. And that is why the draw has to stay, because no one won and no one lost. That was such an even game from start to finish.
Yep. And I think from just having Freo come to, I know it's Marvel, so Richmond get very upset playing at Marvel. It just builds that thing for Richmond. I don't know what it is, but Marvel and Richmond, they just don't know how to play there.
J-Dog, every minnow team, which isn't one of the big four, has to go down to Geelong and play there every single year. We're sick of that, all right? So you can suck it up and play at the ground where there's no atmosphere going to annoy you, and there's a roof, which is what, 5 or 6 Ks, if that, from the MCG,
yeah,
which has got a train station right next to it. Grow as Richmond supporters and just go and look after your team.
It still doesn't help Jack Rewalt kick straight.
Oh, he's done, mate. He's done.
That was, as you said, Peps, that final minute was insane. It was even more crazy than the minute of the Richmond North game the week before.
Or the Richmond Gold Coast game the week before that.
True. It was nuts.
They are stealing defeat from the jaws of victory. They've done it for how many weeks in a row? 3 weeks in a row? Yeah, they don't deserve to play finals. They haven't had. And I think their list profile is really starting to show. Kane Lambert's retired today. So, triple premiership players, he's finished. I was going to mention that a little bit later on.
Will we see Dusty again this season?
We're not going to see Dusty again this season. I don't know if you'll actually see him ever again either in a jumper or in a Richmond jumper.
Mm-hmm.
Rewalt's going. Yeah, Robbie Tarrant's getting older down at centre half back. Liam Baker looks like he might be going to West Coast. So their nucleus of what they've had for quite a while. Jason Castagna can't get a game. Jake Arts can't get a game, which is their sort of younger breed. They're not getting in there. Shai Bolton, I'd have him. He's a gun. Full stop. But you have a look at the Fremantle side of things, and they're building. They are building nicely. They're still susceptible though. It's almost, from Fremantle's perspective, they will hunt in packs when they need to, but when they're lazy, they are very lazy.
Yeah.
Like witches' hats lazy. And that happened quite a fair bit on that game as well too. So if you're willing to take on Fremantle and not let them dictate the game, you're a massive, massive chance.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah,
and 100%. Yeah, as I said, you've got Brayshaw, Collier. I know Taverner Banfield, those guys have been around for a while. Walters has been around for a while. Frederick, some young blokes like that coming in second and third years.
What about the Frederick's mother?
Yeah.
Came out of
nowhere.
He came out like a librarian.
That was the flash.
Like a librarian. It was a beautiful smother. And like I said, it was just we don't like draws for the result, but we love draws just for the drama of it. It just is love it.
It stuffs up the ladder, though. It stuffs up the ladder for everyone around.
Don't care.
Then you're like, oh, God, 2 points here. All right, next game.
All right. It was a 21 Gun-ston salute, which was the Hawks by 26 points over North. What made this game even more special?
Yeah.
And it wasn't not the result itself, but the fact that Gunston's dad, Jack Gunston's father, passed away, I think, the week earlier.
Yes.
Ray Gun-ston. So that's tough. Like, unfortunately, I haven't had that. Yeah, I don't think you've had it as well either.
No.
So if your father passed away at quite a young age as well too, it would definitely be tough. But he came out, and I said it on the broadcast in Tipped Out. I said, this guy's a 3 to 4 goal better player. He came out and kicked 5. He only had 17 disposals, kicked 5, was the best on ground by a mile.
Yeah.
Still also had 3 tackles as well too. He's missed it. Between him and Luke Bruce, they just are so reliable as a team. But I go through the Hawks team, and I know they've had their challenges this year, but they've got names, and I'm not going to mention any of the ones that we really know about, but names like Morrison, Reeves, Newcomb, Mitch Lewis, Finn McGuinness. He's starting to get a lot more of it as well too, coming off halfback, which is good to see. Blake Hardwick, Jack Scrimshaw, Dylan Moore's having his best year. Probably he'll be close to winning their BNF this year, you'd say, between him, Jai Newcomb, and probably Tommy Mitchell again, you'd think. They've got Denver Barras. They've got the Rising Star, Josh Ward, Connor McDonald. Like, they've just got names up and down. Mitch Lewis, I think, I don't know if I mentioned. They've just got a really good, strong nucleus of young kids.
Yeah.
Which North don't have, which I don't think Adelaide have. They've probably got the best group of young kids. I would almost say, geez, I'm probably pushing it maybe, but Essendon, I'd say. So they're in a really good position. And I think, having Sam Mitchell there, but the good thing is that they're not going to do what other teams, what North did, and chop people like O'Meara, Impey, Wingard. They're not going to get rid of them. They're going to get those guys to give them the stability that they need. And so they're on a really good trajectory. And like North, their list, it needs work, let's be honest. But there's some positives there. If you've got Zerha and you've got...
Well, Zeeble, I know, is an older player. Kicked 3 on the weekend.
Kicked 3. Zerha kicked 1. Davies Uniac probably will go and win their BNF this year as well,
kicked
too.
2.
Horny Balls, Jason Horn-Francis, he only had 11, so I don't know what's going on with him. Goldstein, he still had 19 hitouts.
Anderson had another good one. Yeah.
They've got something to work with there. Larkey as well too. You have Larkey and Zerha as your forwards, and then you've got Mackay down back.
Yep.
So whether they deserve a priority pick, I think you got to give it to them. The only thing is that at one stage you got to say no more charity, and my club had to do that quite a number of years ago, and they didn't give us a priority pick. We had to dig our way out of it. And you have to make some ballsy calls.
Dig your way out with an open checkbook from the AFL to appoint any appoint any off-field things you wanted. Chairman, coaches.
When ever has a checkbook actually gone onto a field and kicked the footy? It never has. You've still got to pay the right people. So we got it right. So I think get the right coach, get the right development and the support people around them. It'll bring players back into the game. It'll bring supporters back into the game. But Hawthorn, it'll be another one of those development years. And I think they were pretty, like I said, for the weekend, they were absolutely
I think Hawthorn could be a shot for the 8 next year.
Oh, do you know that there's going to be apparently, and I didn't know, there's 5 teams difference from last year's top 8 to this year's top 8.
Yeah, I was looking at it before, just going, these teams weren't even in the top 8 last year.
No,
Carlton, all that sort of stuff.
Melbourne, Geelong, and Brisbane are the only ones who are still in the 8 from last year.
It's incredible.
It is incredible as well. But all right, J-Dog. I had my inner Kylie Minogue when I was coming up with the title for the Sydney versus Adelaide game. What have we got there?
That. You have I'm swanning around. Get out of our way. Swans by 33 over Adelaide.
Swanning around, get out of my way. I know you feel me because we like it like this. The Swans, They're my tip for the grand final.
To
I
make
thought,
the
like,
grand final?
I reckon they're a tip for. They are my smoky for the grand final. Yep.
Okay.
Their abundance of, like, we just spoke about kids for two teams. Do they ever have a kid who's bad? Did they
No.
always just seem to have someone special?
Yeah. And it's the
Mills.
midfield for them. They're just
They could
amazing.
just go through it like Mills, Blakey, Rowbottom, McInerney, the Chad, Jake Lloyd. Papley's just got better this year.
Yep.
The Love Bite, Hickey.
Franklin
He's just
contributed
a
this year. Franklin
Errol Goulden.
Mills, Papley, Stevens, Parker, Warner,
What do you want to
Franklin, whatever.
Paddy McCartan, best comeback story of the year. If there was a comeback story of the year, that was it. Full stop. They're just humming.
Just going along. And look, they jumped out quite quickly to quite quickly a 9-goal first quarter. So 57 points in the first quarter to Adelaide's 15. And look, that's good night from there, really. But to Adelaide's credit, they fought back. The next quarter, I think they won by a couple of goals.
Yeah,
and then they won the next quarter by a couple of goals.
Yep.
And then the last quarter, I think Sydney piled on 5 or so goals, and
they lost it in the first. And if you have a look at that as well too, Sydney only kicked 8 goals after quarter time. Adelaide kicked 10.
Yeah.
So that's a good sign from a team not just throwing in the towel. But they were just way too. And Sydney could have just taken their foot off the pedal a little bit as well too. But they are sensational. Rory Laird, he's had 38, 14 inside 50s, 11 clearances. He'd have to have the BNF signed up for Adelaide this year, wouldn't
he? Yeah, he'd be top. Yeah, I think so.
Yep. What did Taylor kick? He didn't kick any, did he? No, he kicked 3.
He kicked a couple. Yeah, 3 in the end, was it?
I'd love to have him at the D's. I would. We need a big forward. We'll take George Yardies. Is he up for trade this year?
Well, we can talk about it off. We can talk about it off meeting. We can talk about it off.
Offline. No, but they just do what they have to do. You can definitely see how Darren Burgess has made a difference to them from a fitness perspective. Like, they are running out games which they weren't able to do. So he's a massive. He's their 19th player.
Just can't start games when you get 57 points kicked on you.
No. It's like they've got to warm themselves into the game. It's like a diesel. Like, you can't just go off the. You just got to leave it running for about 10 minutes before it actually starts. And
yep. Do we talk about Will Hayward kicking 3 goals? Like, there's kids. There's just kids.
Well, we get Heaney. Next minute it's Hayward. Next minute it's like Parker comes out and kicks a semi-bean. Then it's Errol Goulden, and then it's the Chad. Like, just Joel
Armitage. Like, they just roll through.
You're not getting the cola.
Heaney, 2 goals. Like. You forget about Heaney. You don't talk about Heaney. He was the shining star 3 seasons ago for them. Now
he's not there.
He's kind of just like Heaney. They got the new crop coming through, but Heaney goes on, kicks on 2 goals and 2 behinds. Like, that could have been a 3-goal game.
You couldn't see Sam Reid hasn't played a half decent game since he tore Melbourne a new one a number of weeks ago. We just play players back into form every single week. It happens, but. Look, Sydney, they're going nicely, and if they keep doing what they're doing, and we'll have a look at this week's games in a moment, just as a bit of a who we're looking forward to. They're a massive chance for top 4 as well too, if the draw is okay for them. So they're setting themselves up perfectly. And I would say, if you said to me if I could pick any coach out of the league to come and coach my team, it would be John Longmire. He is the best. Yeah, as a strategist, he is unbelievable. He just has every game. It's not the same. There's creativity every single week. You look at him; he'll play someone in a unique position they haven't played before. It's mind blowing when I look at what he does every single week. There's just something different about Sydney.
Well, I kind of look at it. Sydney are it's the opposite of what the city wants to be, but they're just workmanlike, and they've been that way for 20 years. Like, there's nothing extremely flashy about them.
No, they just do what they have to do, but they do it so well. And he drives that standard. The players drive that standard. It's all come from Roos. They don't let themselves get. It's like we're a one-team town. Yeah, I love it. I just love what Sydney do.
All right, next game.
All right, big boy. Now, this is your game. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so the Cats sneak past the Power, 12 points over Power. Yes, so, I don't know, like season
This was
ending.
unbelievable. As a game, unbelievable.
If it wasn't for an amazing third quarter where Port piled on 8-1 in that third quarter, it'd be a different story. But we had our chance, like a typical Port Adelaide game, and we blew it. And the Cats have the polish. I think I heard David King talk about this. When the Cats put the ball in the forward 50, it's kicked with care. Like, it's always to their advantage of their forwards. Tom Hawkins going to do a sneaky push under, tunnel someone and take a mark at the back. Jeremy Cameron is just going to do Jeremy Cameron things, and he's just a freak. And the Cats just have that polish. You've got Atkins ripping us a new one. They just have class across the field.
Where's Atkins come from?
They just pull another midfielder out, don't they?
Oh, and then you got Maxi Holmes as well too, like a young kid. Melbourne, I know Melbourne had their eye on him in the draft, and Geelong got him one pick earlier.
Yeah,
like he is just on that wing. He is just a machine.
It's the names. It's the name to talk about. It's the Tom Stewarts. It's the Blitzarves. It's the Hawkins, the Camerons. They do what they do, and that's
but
Geelong.
You know why I love them as well? I love this mob as well too, and I love the way they think about it. They go, okay, we got beaten in finals last year. What do we need? And they go out and get it. We need a small forward. Bang. They go and get Stengel.
Yep. We need midfielders. Okay, bang. They've got their powerful midfielders again.
They did the year before. We need a forward who can help Hawkins out. Bang. We'll go get Cameron.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the way that I look at it. They just don't. They remind me a lot of the New England Patriots in the NFL. Like, they go, okay, what do we need? We'll just go and get it.
Yeah.
And regardless of who you are, we'll move you on if we need to.
Yeah. No.
Reece Stanley's not playing this week, apparently injured. We'll just bring in Jonathan Segler.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just incredible.
Man.
They're just incredible. And look, well deserved to be, top of the ladder by a game.
Helps when you get to play North twice and West Coast twice.
And for sure. But I mean, you know what? Like, they still finished top 4 last year. They still have a tough draw, like Melbourne had and Port Adelaide had this season. They're just a good team. Like, I know they get a lot of hate, but Geelong are an amazing. Like, take all your bias bullshit out of it. I would love to play final. We've had this conversation, so I'm going to say it again. I'd love to play final as much as those guys have. They've been at the top of their game now for 15 years or whatever it is.
Vidians. Country version.
They're just good. They're just good. I don't know what else I can say about them. They are the number 1 team to beat this season. And they just every season in the last couple of years have added more and more firepower.
Can I say there's one guy I've watched over the last few weeks for your mob who I thought he was a bit of a dick. But I actually like him. Sam Pepper.
Yep.
I don't know what it was about him.
I thought you would have loved him, Pets. He's the kind of player you would love.
No. I just don't know what it was. But I've been watching him last. Mate, he's a massive goer for your mob.
Yeah.
Like, he's balls deep into packs. Everything I love about a footballer. He's a footballer. He's not an athlete. He gets it, can kick both feet.
He's a scrapper. He's a scrapper.
He's a scrapper.
Yep.
I love a bit of Sam Pepper.
Yeah.
Could he be a chance to win your BNF this year, or do you reckon Rosie and Boke have probably still got that?
Oh, I think Sam Pepper's right up there. I think Rosie from round 5 has had a pretty amazing season, but Sam Pepper has been a scrapper all season. Yep. And with the birth of his kid, we know about this, Peps. Settles him a little bit.
Settles him down a bit. You've got a fair point there. But, I just look at some of those names, like Jeremy Finlayson. His first probably 10 games were pretty shit. They weren't that flash. Ever since moving into the ruck and having a bit of more of a roam around the ground, he's actually got better for yourselves.
Yeah.
So that thing that you had with Finlayson and was it Dixon just floating?
Yes, those two swapped out.
A bit at the moment where they're not going with a fully dedicated ruckman. They're going with that sort of hybrid model where, okay, don't worry about the rucks. Don't worry about the middle. We'll just work it around the ground and will make the genuine ruckman have to work harder down the ground.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. It's not bad. And Mitch Georgiades, like I said, J-Dog, I know you've been talking about him for a while, but he can play.
Yeah, I'm happy if we I'm
Trading for these. Yep.
No, not trade Georgiades. You can have Dixon. We'll keep Georgiades.
Yeah.
We take Dixon. Would you take Dixon?
Would I take Dixon? Ooh, how old is he?
33, 34. Is an improvement over Ben Brown. He's older than Ben Brown. He takes bigger pack marks than Ben Brown.
Yeah.
And he's a big body. He can bring the ball to ground for Cozzy.
He's not your yeah. That's why I would have loved Tex to play.
Yeah.
A year. Because Tex is only 31.
Yep, 31, 32.
I know it's only 2 diff, but hey, what's Tomahawk? He's 38 and he's 39 this year. He's still got a baby face. Hate the bloke. He's a gun.
He's
Love
a beautiful man.
Alrighty. Next game. It was the BL get the W against the GCS in the Q clash.
Sounds like when I'm doing like a line of one of my induction training programs.
No, yeah, it's exactly right. Exactly right. Lions by 17 over the Gold Coast. This was quite a good game. I didn't have much of a look about it because there was other ones that I was watching at the same time. Obviously, one of them was mine.
Yeah.
The thing I took about this game was it was close all the way through. And then just as, Brisbane would sneak in front, Gold Coast would sneak in front, and it was just back and forth, back and forth. And unfortunately, it was just that last quarter avalanche. Gold Coast were a goal up at 3/4 time, but unfortunately they had 5-1 in the last ticked against them, and that's when you're going to go down by 17 points. And was once again the old school brigade of Lockie Neal, Louis Vuitton himself, the McCluggage, Zach Bailey doing their thing. And took me out. I see. All 2 years in a row, please.
Good evening, Tom. He's joined us. Tommy's here to talk from the Gold Coast.
We must be talking about Gold Coast because the chat is pinging.
I love it. I love it when he gets on. What's happened with Isaac Rankin in the last couple of weeks? A bit quieter, Tom. If you're,
what's wrong with Isaac Rankin? Is he injured? Is he just getting tagged a little bit more? Apparently, Stewie Dew reckons he is getting manhandled.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah.
What's the footage looking at it that he actually had a point?
Yeah,
you've actually
absolutely.
got to look at the ball around ruck contest as well too. So, but once again, umpires, they should be looking out for that sort of thing, but they don't.
Yeah, he got mugged. There we go. Yeah,
he got mugged. Yeah, he did get mugged. Contract maybe. I don't know. Yeah, we're going to have a chat about the contracts really, really soon because I know we're getting deep into the podcast and we've got a few things sort of to get through. But yeah, he's sort of been a bit off the ball, but geez, I love the way he plays his footy. Absolutely love the way he plays his footy. And Brisbane only had 5 more free kicks, Tommy, so it wasn't the end. They didn't get completely blown away. There has been some more discrepancies in other games. Let me tell you about that. But yeah, it was from what I saw, great game. One of the things that was brought up about Gold Coast is Levi Casbolt kicked another 4. Well, this guy was discarded by Carlton. He's gone up there. Charles kicked another 2. But these guys have kicked, I think, 30 plus each this year. Like if you said Ben King going down and those two coming up would have kicked 30 plus each, very, very happy with the output from those two, especially. And from a leadership perspective, they need that as well too. So I think Gold Coast, unfortunately, will miss finals. And I know we say it every single year, but for this year has been the only year they've gone this deep. Normally, they're going to be missing finals by about round 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Not round 18, 19, as we've experienced. So
yeah. And look, the last 5 matches for Gold Coast have been a bit scrappy. They had a loss against Essendon.
Yep.
They had a small win over or kick after the thing against Richmond. Then they had another close loss against Collingwood. A very close loss to us going way back now, back into June, and then a nice win over the thing. So yeah, they have had a bit scrappy the last 5 matches. I
will say a special Jared Witts. I know they've been talking about him being the All-Australian ruckman. He had 50. He had 50 hit-outs on the weekend. That's
just nuts.
Did they even have a ruckman? Like, what was the – and how did – so Oscar McInerney still had 19 of his own.
Yep.
So that's 69 dinner for 2 hit-outs. the game. Unbelievable. All right, big boy. The Dogs got their bite back. They bit back against the D's. I'll quickly take you through this one because I watched it. Disappointed, I must admit.
I love it. I love Tommy. Grand final, $10 on it.
Okay, Tom. All right. Sydney Gold Coast Grand Final. That's it. We've called it now. Imagine what odds we'd get for that.
Peps, can I say here, Peps? I'm going to ask the question. How did you lose this? I thought you guys had sewn this game up pretty early, and surprised to flick it back over and seeing you're losing by 10 points.
Laziness.
Okay. Because you were up by 23.
Pardon?
You're up by 23 points at one point, I think it was.
I'd say laziness. And they just worked harder. They kicked 8 goals to our 4 after half time.
Yep.
5 of those in the last quarter. So very, very similar to your game.
Yeah.
They just played better. Just stupid mistakes. You know, when you've got a player who's on fire, he's kicked 4. Why no one was on him? I don't get.
Could you feel my rage that I had last week?
You know what? Once again, it was just poor kicking for goal. I say bad kicking's bad football. We kicked 15-10. They kicked 17-8. Same scoring shots, 25 each, and they win. Cozzy Pickett missed an easy one. Petrarca missed one. Cozzy missed 2 sitters.
Yep.
There was even one where I think it might have been Bailey Dale right at the end of the game. Like it was straight over the top to Neil Bullen in the square to run into an open goal, and he just got his fingertip like spoil of the year. Wasn't even looking at it. Might have been Bailey Dale or Bailey Williams, one of them two. Like it's just they just got us. Simple as that. Not having a key forward doesn't help. We had 100 points scored against us, which hasn't happened that's the first time that's happened in 3 years. So not having Lever there made it difficult as well too. They're just not firing at the moment, J-Dog. That's as simple as it is. Like you can go through the stats and we can go through who dominated, and you know Gorney had his 40 and like he had 40 and 25. He did what he could do.
The Bont does what he does. 10 disposals in the last quarter, 8 contested and 7 clearances and 4 tackles in the last quarter.
How can you argue with that? Like
he's a freak.
When you think he's out, he's not out. It was just I think their bottom 6 played better footy.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Well, it does put you guys back in the rat race, though. You could miss the 4.
It doesn't, and I think that 3-game stretch in the middle of the year when we lost 3 in a row is not going to help us. It's going to make it harder. We've got a tough run, but I'd rather have a tough run than an easy run because then it might be what we need to get back in. Our bottom 9, I think that's what's hurting us a lot at the moment is our bottom 6 are just not delivering like they did last year. And when I say bottom 6, that's not being disrespectful to where they are on the pecking order. But, you know, if you look at Spargo, it hasn't been what he was last year. Neil Bullen, it wasn't what he's been this year. Harms has been a little bit lower than normal.
Yeah.
They're not for whatever reason, they're not using Langdon on a wing. He's not being tagged. We're just not using him. So it's that lack of creativity that other teams are working us out. We don't come back with anything. The Doggies, have a look at the way that they played. They had a plan. When we go out of the back line, we're going to kick it low and we're going to kick it fast. They did that, so we couldn't set ourselves up, and it worked.
Also helps when you've got people.
May Gate is killing the repeat because he was sensational on the weekend. Yeah. I cannot fault Stephen May. I just think that they think it's still 2021 and they can switch it on. And they've got to remember that yes, they did kick 100 points in a quarter and a half of footy, but they were also 3 goals down with 15 minutes to go in the second quarter, a third quarter of a grand final.
Yeah.
So if they get it right, they're just the pressure around the ground. If they get it right, I'll be buoyant about them because I know what they can deliver. But I haven't seen it so far. And the last time they played like that was against Brisbane, and we saw what happened that day.
Yeah, but it must be a little bit concerning considering that Port Adelaide last week really pushed you guys a lot as well.
Yeah, but Port weren't bad.
No.
That was a good game of footy. It's a good game of footy. And it's you pushed us, and that's what we want.
All right,
people like Ed Richards, he just gets better. That's what I like. I still think they're very susceptible, but why they would want to go for Rory Lobb, I've got no idea. When you've got Norton, Ugle-Hagan, Darcy, Bruce, and you want Lobb?
Yeah. Doesn't fit.
Don't be so greedy. Share the wealth. All righty.
Carlton GWS.
Yeah, what do you reckon about this one, Jada? What did we call this game?
You called this game. The blue grass was almost greener.
Yep. And what I meant by that was just Toby Green.
Yep.
Like,
no green, no WS. We know this.
That's it. No green, no WS. You just have a look at the highlights, and if he didn't have a number 4 on his back, you wouldn't know who else was playing. He's just a freak. He's just a freak in the best way possible.
Yeah.
But I'll look at Charlie Curnow. He's been a new player for them this year. A brand new player. He kicked another 4 on the weekend. Harry Mackay only kicks his 2. I like what they do, but I still think they're susceptible around the ground. Adam Cherra's fallen off the boil a little bit. In my humble opinion,
he has.
But he's not delivering. So I don't know whether it's getting a little bit harder towards the back end. Will be interesting. We'll find out in a few weeks' time. Like, they've got Carlton, Collingwood's going to be coming up. They've got us. They've got some challenging games as well.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be easy for anybody at the moment.
Well, as I said, Toby Green kicked 3 goals, 2 behinds out of Giants' 8 goals, 6. He kicked almost half their score.
You can't say. And, like Tim Taranto, this is what freaks me out about this one. Tim Taranto has 30. He could be out the door this year.
Yeah.
Right? Jacob Hopper, 4th most positive, 24. Though I had a bit of a lisp on that one. He could be out the door as well too. You know what I mean? Like, there's names here that they've paid, and then you've got someone like Jake Riccardi, can't get a kick. He might be out. Zach Sproul could be out as well too.
Whoever's going in for that role is a full rebuild. That next coach is a full rebuild coach.
Oh, there's players on that list that are getting a champagne salary, and they're producing a beer output, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Good luck to the next coach on that team.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Good luck with that. All righty. This was my one. I named this one again because I was pretty proud of this one. This was Essendon. They were Essendon. Then they Essendon, and then Essendon didn't. Highs by 4 over Essendon.
What do you say?
What do you want me to say about this game that we haven't said?
I don't know. As you always say, Essendon always seem to turn up when the season means nothing. And I thought, here we go. The game means nothing. They're going to come and win against Collingwood. And then Collingwood once again, they just get another one, Peps. It is incredible how they do this.
The luck, it has to run out, doesn't it? The luck has to run out. It can't keep going. It can't keep going.
I'd agree, but we've said that now. It's just this is Collingwood's last 5 games, and I picked the top ones out. So they beat GWS by 11 points.
Oh, blowout!
They beat the Suns by less than a kick. They beat North by just a kick. They beat Adelaide by just over a kick, and now they win against Essendon with a kick after the siren.
So a couple of things. Harry Jones, who tackled Howe, should have got a 50. They should have got a 50 for that.
Mm-hmm. You're gonna get Charlie Keegan on here just losing in a second.
I don't care. Charlie, go nuts. Go nuts, Charlie. Should have had a 50. He should have gone back and used his entire 30, but also the rest of the mob should have actually gone back and set up defensively as well too. And that's a difference between good teams, not patting themselves on the back, we've got this. But mind you, it went end to end. And that mark that Elliott took, like he was the meat between this. He was the meat in the sandwich. You have a look at it. How he took it, I got no idea. But then we know about the kick after the siren. It was clinical.
Yeah. And look,
clinical.
Across the stats, you were gone. Look at these stats here. Essendon have won this game. Oh, no, they didn't. So they had 60 more disposals than Collingwood. They had more inside 50s. They had more clearances, almost double the clearances of Collingwood. Yep. They had 30 more marks than Collingwood did, and yet they lost by a Jamie Elliott arrow through the goals.
Yep. They're inside 50s they won as well too. So across the board, if you took the stats and looked at it, they won it.
Yeah.
But it just goes to, it was almost, they were playing a game at the start where they just got blown away. It was almost like deer in the headlight stuff. And then once again, the pressure's off us. Let's just play footy again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Easy done. All right. Last game, the Saints Butler served it to the Eagles. Simple as that. The Saints by 28 points over the Eagles. I'm not going to spend any time on this game whatsoever, and that's no disrespect to our listeners, but there's not really much to talk about. West Coast were disappointing. St Kilda beat someone that they had to beat. So that literally means that whoever they're going to be playing this week, so St Kilda are playing this week, which is Hawthorn, they'll get pumped. What do you? Okay. Okay, J-Dog. Really, I have to rip this one out because we know we love it.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Yeah. Splash the cash. Splash the cash. All right, we're splashing the cash. Bling, bling, ding, chicken wing, and all that jazz. All right. Really, we mentioned Wally Love has advised Fremantle that he wants to trade to Victoria. The Western Bulldogs are favourites. But once again, do they really need him? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, his best year in front of goal, kicked 28
Yep.
goals so far this season. I don't know if he's the answer. Angus Brayshaw apparently met with Essendon last week, and they were also into Isaac Rankin.
Watch that space.
Yeah, we'll definitely watch that space. I don't know why you'd go to Essendon.
No, I wouldn't know either.
I wouldn't either. Jacob Hopper is likely to move due to a cap squeeze at GWS, as well as Tim Taranto was another. I'd take either of those two. Definitely. Luke Jackson bought a house in WA, and no one is renting it. Read into that your own will there, everybody. Dan Butler, 2-year extension at St Kilda, which we mentioned a little bit earlier on. Kane Lambert has retired as a triple premiership player with Richmond, and also Matthew Parker. He also retired after stints with Rio and Richmond as well.
Wow, that's a name I forgot. Okay.
Yep. Matthew Parker, tats on the neck, you know.
Yeah.
Poor man, Dustin Martin. All right. I have to go really quickly before we get into the last little bit of this is that we're going to have a chat about Rising Star for this week. Rising Star for round 19. We know him as the hyphen, Jamari Ugle-Hagan. We know who he is. You know what he's done and who he's done. But Rising Star nomination, kick 5 against the D's, 195 centimetre, key forward, picked up as a academy pick, I think it was, for the Dogs.
Pick number 1, basically.
Number one. He was a pick number 1. They got him for nothing, basically. Yep. It was his coming out game, which is absolute crap because Sam Wiedemann had a coming out game in a final and hasn't done it since. So don't get too sucked in, everybody. All right, it was one game, but yeah, congratulations, young man. You're going to be going to a nice dinner at the end of the year with the rest of the nominees. But you're all going to be sitting there and looking at Nick Dacos as he gets the award because no one's going to get close to him.
It's Might and Power, Dacos, and then the rest of the field.
Oh, yeah. They're a lap behind. They're Zola Bud and everybody else is behind. All right. Question of the week. I had a question of the week last week, which was, which one would you take? The Kings or the Konings?
Or the Mackays or
the someone else. Doesn't really matter.
Someone else.
The Kings were overwhelming.
The Dacoses.
The Dacoses, yeah. The Kings were overwhelming winners. The Konings came in second. The Dacoses were then next, and then I can't remember who the last one was. The Mackays. But then you started getting the Danahers. Like, people did not understand what the question was all about. It was about players who were playing now, not from 20 years ago, like the Wiedemann brothers or the Jakovic. Some of the responses were, the Jakovic brothers.
Peps. Let our audience enjoy memory lane.
Our audience, but just maybe stick to the grouping that we had because we can't bring the Jakovic boys back.
Who would you take?
Bring the Danahers back.
Who would you take out of the four
Jim and Brian Steins. Who would I take?
Kings, the Konings, Dacos, or the Mackays?
Kings.
Okay.
You put those two down forward, mate. Flags. I'll put it this way. You put Ben King in our forward line or Max King in our forward line or in your forward line to support your mob or any forward line, you're probably flag favourites.
Yeah, not bad.
All right. Rightio. Listener question. We will have it up ready for you at the end of this episode. So get onto the Lace Our Facebook page. It'll be ready for you. Okay. Not the Ablets. We're not talking Jeff and Gary. They've got to be current players.
Well, we should have spoke about Nathan and Gary Jr.
Oh. Stop it. All right. Just stop it. Stop it. All right. 1 week at a time. Game you're looking forward to this weekend, J-Dog.
This weekend, I think I'm looking forward to, Friday night, Peps. I don't know what is that Friday night at the moment.
Yeah, D's versus Fremantle in Fremantle. One team need to win to stay top four. One team need to win a game, full stop, to stay in the top four.
And I may be going to the MCG, the Port Adelaide Collingwood game, so I get to that one there.
Well, that was one that sort of stood out to me as well too. The other one that I'm sort of looking forward to, which will be, I don't know how it's going to work out, Geelong Western Bulldogs, GMHBA Stadium.
Good one.
And Gold Coast West Coast, to see if Gold Coast can continue their winning ways as well too. But hey, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, and everybody around the world, that's Lace Out for another week. So remember, like us, subscribe to us, tell everybody about us, write a review about us. We love you and we love you back. I'll be back this week with Tipped Out. Hopefully the J-Dog can make it. And if he can't, he'll send his tips through. He was pretty good last week. I was woeful. He was awesome. But what do we expect anything different? And if you're listening to us for the first time, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. Everybody on the chat, thank you very much. We do this show because you're there and everybody listens to us. Our numbers have been sensational this year, and it's all because of you. So thank you. But most importantly, it's going to be round 20 this weekend. We're hitting the 2-0. 4 rounds for some, 4 rounds to get your season intact. But J-Dog, it was a cracking game of footy. And most importantly, thank you for your time tonight. And as we do every single week, how do you want your footy?
I want it to lace out.
So do I. Good luck to your teams, everybody. We'll see you this time next week.
See you, listeners.
Thanks for listening to the latest episode of Lace Out. Head over to iTunes and Spotify to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. And remember, join us every single Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, on our Facebook page with yours truly, Christopher Pepper, and the co-host with the most, Jamie Wallis, giving you your footy how you want it. Lace Out.